you just knock on the door and tell them just knock on them?
All rise. Courtroom 805 of the State of California is now in session. Honorable Judge Botwell presiding. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the court. You may be seated as this court comes to order. Prosecution, will you please stand and present yourself?
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Jerry Dinkins, representing the state of California in this action.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Kiara Broughton, and I represent the people of the state of California in this action.
Good morning, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Sheila Leatherman, and I represent the state of California in this action.
Defense, will you please present yourselves?
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I am Craig Kozalou, and I represent Brad Stevens in this action.
Good morning, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm Sophia, and I represent Brad Stevens in this action.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm Crystal Hankins, and I represent Brad Stevens in this action.
Today's case is the case of the state of California versus the defendant, Mr. Brad Stevens, in an offense of California Penal Code Section 245. Assault with a deadly weapon, which is defined as the use of force or violence upon the person of another without consent, committed with an object used in such a manner as to be capable of producing and likely to produce death or great bodily harm. The fine for this is $3,000. The jail sentence is 6 months in a county jail. This time the bailiff will swear in the jury. Please rise. Raise your right hands, repeat after me. I solemnly swear to listen to the evidence and the facts presented to me and base my decision solely on the evidence and the facts presented to me. Please be seated. Let me remind the jury that they are to make their decision based on facts and evidence, not personal feelings towards counselors or witnesses. At this time, prosecution, are you prepared to give your opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, at this time we will present physical evidence. Sorry about that, guys.
Yes, we like to admit this 2x2 as prosecution exhibit A.
Bailiff, will you please show the exhibit to defense?
We have no objections, Your Honor.
Prosecution, do you have any further exhibits?
Yes, we do. We'd also like to admit this wallet as prosecution exhibit B.
We have no objections, Your Honor.
Prosecution, do you have any further exhibits?
Yes, we do. Finally, we'd like to admit this pocket knife as exhibit C. Prosecution exhibit C.
We have no objections, Your Honor.
Is that your final one?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor. We have an accurate map of Melanie's Arcade to be labeled as Defense Exhibit A.
Prosecution, are there any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any further exhibits?
No, we do not, Your Honor.
At this time, prosecution, are you prepared to give an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm going to refresh your memories a little bit from when you were sworn in and repeat your last line. I swear to base my decision solely on evidence and facts presented in this case, not built on personal feelings of another person. In this case, nothing but facts are presented. 3 remain true. Brad Stevens, on the night of June the 4th, hit my client, Milton Mann, in the nose with a 2x2 stick. Fact, after he hit him, he ran away from the incident. And he is here today because he committed a crime, a wrongdoing. He's been charged by the Penal Code 245 of assault with a deadly weapon. He hit my client with this piece of wood. Of course, this would cause bodily injury to anyone. And part of this charge against him was bodily injury to where he could even cause death on an individual. And that's exactly what he did to Milton Mann. Today, we're going to show you facts and testimony to which they're going to be confirmed. He did hit him. He did run away from the act. Now, defense is going to tickle our minds with little reasons why he hit him and things that my client did to him in order for him to hit him. But of a jury of, your personality and you're smart enough, I think you'll be able to figure out just what is just and what is unjust and find this man guilty. Thank you.
Defense, are you prepared to give your opening statement?
Yes, we are, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. I know that sometimes it's hard to rearrange our schedules for jury duty, so we really appreciate you coming. First of all, you have been selected, and it is your job to make a fair and a right decision for this case. Today, the prosecution will be telling you what happened on the night of June 4th, 1994. The story is actually very simple. At approximately 8:00 p.m., my client, Brad Stevens, and his date, Tanya Morgan, went to the Melanie's Video Arcade to play video games. While they were playing a very good game called the Frogger, they had run out of quarters and went around the corner to retrieve more change. Upon their return, they saw Mr. Martin Mann playing the Frogger. My client explained to Mr. Mann that he had just gone around the corner for just a minute and wanted the game back. But Mr. Stevens nicely asked him to go play another game. The evidence will show that Mr. Mann refused to let Mr. Stevens have the game and rudely said to him, "Hey, jackass, go play another game." Facts will prove that Mr. Stevens attempted to go for the machine, but Mr. Martin pushed him away, causing him to fall and giving injury to his arm. Testimony will be given that Mr. Martin Mann said to Mr. Stevens, and I quote, "If I see you again, I will beat you up." Brad Stevens got up and went to wash off his arm from his injury. And while doing so, he saw Martin coming from behind him very quickly. He saw some sort of object in his hands and believed that it could have been a weapon. Mr. Stevens will testify that he felt helpless, that he felt scared, and remembering how Mr. Mann threatened to hurt him if he saw him again, he grabbed the first and only thing he could find to defend himself. He picked up a piece of wood, and as soon as Martin was close enough to injure him or his date, he swung it and hit him in the face. Evidence will show that Mr. Stevens dropped the wood, and in fear that Martin might get up, he ran. And he ran until Mr. Sidney Berg, the owner of the arcade, caught up with him. And when he was asked why he hit Mr. Stevens, Mr. Mann, he said, "I just had to," meaning that he didn't have a choice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty clear to see that my client, Brad Stevens, had no choice but to use self-defense. Now let me take a moment to explain to you what self-defense is. A victim of an actual or apparent deadly attack is justified in killing or injuring his assailant if necessary to avert threatened harm. Mr. Stevens will testify to feeling threatened and scared for his life. Therefore, the law says that he was justified in hurting Mr. Martin Mann the way he did. If at the end of this trial you feel that Mr. Brad Stevens had no choice but to use self-defense, I ask that you will render a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
Prosecution, are you prepared to call witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution would like to call Miss Dr. Agnes Chen to the stand, please.
Would Dr. Agnes Chen please approach the stand? May the police swear in the witness?
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
I will.
Please be seated. Say your full name and spell your last.
Agnes Dr. Chen, C-H-E-N.
Prosecution, you may begin.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Chen. Where is it that you work?
Work at the county hospital.
And what do you do there?
I'm a physician in the emergency room.
Do you have a medical degree?
Yes.
How long have you worked in the hospital emergency room?
I've been working there for about 5 years.
So you have seen many injuries. Have you seen any others like this?
No.
So would you say not seeing ones as bad as this, in your professional opinion, that this was very severe injury?
Yes.
At what time was Mr. Mann brought into the ER room?
9 o'clock.
And who brought him in? How was he brought into the emergency room?
Unconscious.
And what were his exact injuries?
Is the cartilage on his nose broken.
In your professional opinion, how hard had Mr. Mann been hit?
Twice.
Excuse me?
Probably twice.
How hard had Mr. Mann been hit?
Very hard. It was extreme. The blow was extremely hard.
Thank you. Was surgery needed?
Immediately.
Was it performed? Your Honor, may I-
Damage.
Your Honor, may I have a short recess with my co-counsel?
You may.
Thank you, Ms. Chen. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Dr. Chen, isn't it true that there is no way to quantitatively measure the force with which someone is struck?
Excuse me, hands up.
Your Honor, would you instruct the witness to answer yes or no, please?
Dr. Chen, answer the questions, yes or no.
Quantitative means in numbers. Is it possible to give us a number by which the defendant was struck?
A number from like 1 to 10 or scale? Or
Please answer yes or no. Is it possible to give a number like, say, 20 pounds of force with which the defendant was struck?
Yes.
Would you say that this quantitative number was more than, say, if a door had been closed in Mr. Mann's face?
Yes.
And how often have you found patients with doors closed in their faces?
How far?
How often? Does that happen very often?
Not really.
Have you ever seen a case like that?
Many.
You get a lot of patients who come into your emergency room unconscious, don't you? So it's not especially unusual for one to come into your emergency room unconscious, is it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. May I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
You may.
You were not at the video arcade in question, were you?
No.
So you yourself cannot testify to any of the events that took place there, can you?
No. Wait.
No. Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Witness may step down. Prosecution, are you prepared to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Miss Connie Cook to the stand, please.
Ms. Cook, would you please approach the bench? Seat, stand. Bailiff, please swear in the witness.
You have to me. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Please be seated. Say your full name and spell your last name.
Connie Cook, C-O-O-K.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Good morning, Miss Cook.
Good morning.
Are you a little nervous?
A little.
Go ahead and take a minute to relax. What high school do you attend, Miss Cook?
Westville High.
And where did you go on the night of June 4th, 1994?
To Melanie's Arcade.
And who were you with?
Martin Mann.
Is he in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please point him out and describe his clothing to the court?
He's sitting right there with a black silk shirt on and some white pants.
Okay. Your Honor, please let the record show that Ms. Cook has identified Mr. Mann as being in this courtroom.
Very well. If we had court would.
And what did you do when you got to the arcade?
He decided he wanted to play Frogger.
When did you first notice Mr. Stevens?
When he approached us while we was playing the game.
Is Mr. Stevens in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please point him out and describe his clothing?
He's sitting over there with these glasses on and this colorful shirt and some black pants.
Your Honor, I would also like the record to show that Ms. Cook has identified Mr. Stevens.
Let the record show that Ms. Cook has identified the defendant, Brad Stevens.
And what did Mr. Stevens do?
He told us that we had to stop playing this game. Told us to beat it.
And what was the tone of his voice at this time?
He was angry.
Did Mr. Mann push Mr. Stevens down?
Yes, he just nudged him though.
Can you please demonstrate about approximate force that he used? Mr. Stevens was able to fall from that?
No, he tripped over his feet.
Objection. Call for speculation.
Sustained.
Your Honor,
Please rephrase the
sustain
question.
objection. You need to tell the jury to disregard my last question.
Disregard the last question.
Did Mr. Mann approach Mr. Stevens?
No.
He did not try to assist him in any way?
Mr. Mann?
Yes, after Mr. Stevens had fallen.
No.
Did Mr. Mann verbally imply that he meant to hurt Mr. Stevens?
No.
What happened after Mr. Stevens walked away?
He just left the area.
And what did you two do?
We decided to leave.
And when did you leave?
Around, I don't know the exact time, but we just left shortly after they had left.
Did you bother to finish your game?
No.
Did you see Mr. Stevens as you were leaving?
Not until we got right up to the door.
Did Mr. Stevens hit Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Did you warn Mr. Mann?
No, I didn't have a chance to.
Did Mr. Stevens offer to assist Mr. Mann in any way?
No, he ran off.
Did you try to assist Mr. Mann?
I tried to give him first aid, but he was unconscious.
And what were the apparent injuries at this time to Mr. Mann?
His nose was bleeding, and he was unconscious.
Did Mr. Stevens come back?
Yes, after the manager at the arcade brought him back.
And was Mr. Mann taken to the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to consult with my co-counsel?
Very well.
Okay, see, let's go
filling in. She was supposed, the lawyer was supposed to be here today. That lawyer was absent, so she's filling in, so we gotta consult a little bit here.
They're for another class.
Miss Cook, did Mr. Stevens offer any warning to Mr. Mann that he tended to hurt him?
No. Well, after he left, he said he was gonna.
At the time of the incident with the wood, did Mr. Stevens offer any warning to Mr. Mann as if,
No.
stay back?
No.
When Mr. Stevens swung at Mr. Mann, did he put a lot of effort into it?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. That, not only is that irrelevant,
She has no personal knowledge.
knowledge of that.
Sustained. Jury, disregard the last statement.
Approximately how fast were you two walking towards the door?
We were just walking to leave. He was walking ahead of me.
And what were you going to do after you left the arcade?
He was gonna take me home.
Did you hear in any way that Mr. Mann consented to Mr. Stevens' attack?
No.
So it was attack without consent.
Right.
Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Cook.
So you prepared to cross-examine?
Yes, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Would you please instruct the witness to answer my questions, yes or no?
Witness, answer the questions, yes or no.
Thank you, Your Honor. When Mr. Mann pushed Mr. Stevens to the ground, he said something, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall exactly what he did say?
Yes.
You do. I will suspend the request to answer yes or no if you would like to tell the court what exactly Mr. Mann did say.
He said to leave him alone.
Those are the exact words, to leave him alone.
Not the exact words, but I know.
What were the exact words, please?
He said, "Do not ever bother
Objection,
him."
Your Honor, badgering the witness.
Sustained.
That's great.
Jury, disregard the last question.
Your Honor, I wish to establish what...
George.
Would defense and a representative of prosecution please approach the bench?
He's going to ask questions that are great. He can present a good reason for asking the question. It wasn't what you said, it was the tone that you said it. It was intimidating to the witness.
Now, I simply wish to establish through the words themselves what the intention behind it.
They don't know that.
Yeah, I know. She doesn't know that, so she can't testify to that.
That's his point. He's trying to get done.
If she doesn't know the words, then she can't say it.
Alright, you agree to it? Very well.
Overruled.
Do you know what the exact words were?
He said, "Don't ever bother him." Yeah.
You're sure?
Yes.
I would like to reestablish the yes or no.
Very well.
The lighting in Melanie's arcade is very dim, is it not?
Yes.
Could you tell me what Brad Stevens was wearing at the time?
Objection, Your Honor. He demanded the witness say yes or no's question. He is now asking for a statement.
Sustained, disregard the last question.
I was merely asking, could she tell me? I was
No, you
not
said, "Will
asking
you?"
what she was. I said, could you tell me? Would you be, very well, I will rephrase the question. Would you be able to tell me if I asked what Brad Stevens was wearing at the time?
No.
Is that because the lighting is bad?
Yeah.
Thank you. May I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
You may. Could I get some order in the court? It's entirely too loud.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecution, are you prepared to present your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Richard Cervantes to the stand, please.
Would Mr. Bailiff, please swear in the witness.
This is my right hand. Repeat after me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I will. I will.
Please be seated. Say your full name, spell your last.
Richard Cervantes, Cervantes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Good morning, Mr. Cervantes.
Good morning.
I understand you may be a little nervous, so go ahead and take a minute to relax.
Right.
What is your occupation?
I'm the manager at Melanie's Video Arcade.
Is there a sufficient amount of lighting to play the video games in your store?
Yes.
Is Mr. Mann in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please identify him and explain to me what he is wearing?
He's wearing black shirt, white pants.
Is Mr. Stevens in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please identify him for us?
He's wearing a blue, green, yellow, red shirt, glasses on.
Was Mr. Mann the boy who was struck?
Yes.
And is Mr. Stevens the boy who hit him?
Yep.
Your Honor, I would like to the court to acknowledge that Mr. Cervantes has identified both Mr. Stevens and Mr. Mann.
Court identifies that the witness has identified Mr. Mann and Stevens as the boys involved in the case.
Did you see Mr. Stevens and Miss Morgan?
Yes.
And when did you see Mr. Mann?
Seen him get hit.
When did you first see Mr. Mann?
Seen him at the water fountain.
What is this, Mr. Cervantes?
Wallet.
Please take this. And what is this?
Knife. Looks like a knife.
Do these two objects look anything alike, Mr. Cervantes?
No.
And which of these two objects did you see Mr. Mann pull from his wallet?
A wallet.
About how far away were you from Mr. Mann?
About 10 feet.
What is this, Mr. Cervantes?
It's a board we use to keep the window open during hot days.
Was this a lethal weapon that Mr. Stevens used on Mr. Mann that night?
Yes.
What was Mr. Mann's reaction to the blow?
Mr. Mann, he fell down, unconscious.
Did Mr. Stevens offer to assist him in any way?
No, he looked shocked and he just took off.
Did you run after him?
Yes.
Were you able to apprehend him?
Yes.
And did he say anything or why he did it?
Said he just had to.
And after Mr. Stevens' confession, what did you do?
I took him back to the store and called the police.
Mr. Cervantes, did Mr. Stevens appear to act in self-defense towards Mr. Mann?
Objection, Your Honor.
No personal knowledge.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may I have a brief recess, my co-counsel?
Yes, you may. Court, please be quiet. Okay.
But when she goes back.
Mr. Cervantes, did you hear Mr. Mann in any way say, please, hit me?
No.
So there was no consent to the attack?
Nope.
Did you hear Mr. Stevens say, wait, don't come any further?
No.
Anything of that sort?
No.
When you were chasing Mr. Stevens, did he look unsure as to where he wanted to go?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes.
Defense, are you prepared to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Cervantes, did you see the initial conflict at the Frogger game between my client and Mr. Mann?
No.
So you cannot testify to anything that happened at that time?
No.
Would you please instruct the witness to answer yes or no to my following questions, Your Honor?
Mr. Cervantes, please answer the questions yes or no.
All right.
You saw Mr. Stevens and Ms. Cook go to the fountain, and Ms. Morgan go to the fountain, yes?
Yes.
And did you think that unusual?
No.
Do patrons at Melanie's often wash their bleeding hands at the fountain?
No.
And still you thought that, you didn't think that unusual?
Objection, Your Honor. He did not initially ask if they were washing off. He initially asked if they went to the fountain, and that is not unusual.
So, overruled.
So, okay. And later you saw Mr. Mann advance toward your counter, correct?
Yes.
And did he have an expression that could be termed angry?
No.
Well, could you demonstrate for the court the expression he wore?
No.
So you really couldn't tell me whether or not he was angry at the time?
No.
And he was reaching for his wallet, correct?
Yes.
The lighting at Melanie's is fairly dim, isn't it?
Yes.
Much dimmer than this.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have permission to dim the lights in this room?
Yeah.
Could that be arranged?
We can arrange that tomorrow.
Okay.
We're running out of time, so
All right.
Judge, would you please ask the judge to reserve the right to recall?
May I reserve the right to recall this witness
Yes, you may.
at a later date? Then, at this time, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
At this time, the court will adjourn. Jury, remember you are not to speak to any of the counsel or witnesses or anyone else of the court like bailiff and myself. At this time, we are convened until tomorrow at 10:30.
Okay, thank you, class. Very good. This is a criminal trial. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, the things you should remember from yesterday is what happens when you're outlining a criminal trial. Well, the bailiff comes in and opens the court. Everybody stands up. If your teacher wants you to write that, just everybody stands up. Then the bailiff says, you know, the Honorable so-and-so presiding. The judge comes in. Then the judge welcomes everybody, has the lawyers introduce themselves. This is presentation of physical evidence. You should put that down. And then opening statements. Well, the charges, first of all, the charges of what the defendant's being charged with and how the defendant pleads. And then we have the opening statements, and then it goes prosecution puts up their witnesses, defense cross-exam. Prosecution puts up another witness, defense cross-exams. And once they finish, they're going to say prosecution rests. Now it's the defense turn to put up their witnesses. They put up their witnesses on direct exam, and then the prosecution will cross-examine them. Okay, I think we're all ready to go.
All rise. Courtroom 805 of the state of California is now in session. Honorable Judge Platt presiding.
Please be seated. Good morning, members of the jury, counselors, and people of the court. We are continuing the case of Brad Stevens versus the state of California. And I'll read to you again the charge in which he has been brought up on. And that is, the defendant Brad Stevens, an assault with a deadly weapon violating section 245 of the California Penal Code, which states the use of force or violence upon the person of another without consent, committed with an object used in such manner as to be capable of producing or likely to produce death or great bodily harm. Yesterday we left off with bringing one more witness up to the stand by the prosecution. Prosecution, would you please proceed?
We need to swear in the jury.
Bailiff, would you please swear in the jury?
Please rise. Raise your right hands and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear to listen to the evidence and facts presented before me and base my decision solely upon the facts and evidence presented before me. Please be seated.
Okay, you guys already questioned
They
the witness
have to
then?
finish
Okay.
cross-examining.
Would you like to cross-examine the witness that was brought up?
Yes,
Okay.
we would like to recall Richard Cervantes to the stand.
Okay, Richard Cervantes, would you please approach the stand, please? And you've already been sworn in?
Yes.
Okay. You can begin your questioning.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, would you please instruct the witness to answer yes or no to my questions?
Would you please answer all questions, yes or no? Okay.
You never actually saw the moment of contact between that board and Mr. Mann's face, did you?
I did.
You did?
Yes. No, I did.
You've asked him to answer yes or no, so you need to ask a question that replies an answer of yes or no.
Yes. Did you see the moment of contact between the board and Mr. Mann's face?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And could you at all testify to the state of mind in which Mr. Stevens was at the time?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. It calls for an opinion. He has no knowledge of what this witness was thinking.
Okay, objection sustained. Jury, disregard the question. Counsel, will you continue with another question, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. After he hit Mr. Mann, Mr. Stevens ran, and you caught him, is that correct?
Yes.
When you caught him, would you say he looked frightened?
No.
Would you say he looked confused?
Yes.
As if he didn't know what he was going to do?
Yes.
When you caught him, did he go willingly when you took him back to the arcade?
Yes.
Would you say that he seemed antagonistic towards you when you picked him up?
I don't know the meaning of that.
Okay, antagonistic means antagonistic is hostile towards you.
No.
No. Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer with my
Yes,
co-counsel?
you may.
Repeated the question, it's reworded. No, but the first question he asked, he didn't go willingly, and he asked, was he antagonistic? Appear antagonistic. Antagonistic is interacting.
Okay, we need to continue with the questioning, Counselor.
We got 2 hours.
10 seconds, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem.
You said you saw the actual contact with the board and Mr. Mann's face, yes?
Yes.
Did you see any of the events leading up to that?
No.
So you don't know what was going on just before that,
No.
do you?
No.
You don't know that Mr. Mann may have directly said something to Mr. Stevens that made him that could have been considered overtly
Your Honor,
threatening.
the question is irrelevant.
Objection, overruled. Continue with the question, Counsel.
Very well. You do not know if anything happened beforehand that might have been considered overtly threatening on the part of Mr. Mann, do you?
Yes.
You do.
I don't.
You don't know.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions, Your
Okay,
Honor.
thank you. You may sit down, Mr. Cervantes. Okay, defense, would you wish
Your
to
Honor.
call your?
You have one more witness.
You have one more witness? Okay, prosecution, would you like to call next witness?
Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Martin Mann to the stand, please.
Okay, Martin Mann, would you please approach the stand? Do you have a picture to swear this witness in?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, say about.
I will.
Please be seated. State your full name. Spell your last.
Martin Mann, M-A-N-N.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Mr. Mann.
Good morning.
How are you feeling today?
A little tired.
I understand if you may be a little nervous, so go ahead and take a couple of seconds to relax.
Alright.
And what school do you attend, Mr. Mann?
Westdale High School.
And where did you go on the night of June 4th, 1994?
Melanie's Arcade.
And who were you with?
Connie Cook, my girlfriend.
And what did you do when you got there?
Got some quarters and saw an empty Frogger game, so went over and started to play.
Was the game occupied?
No, it was not.
When did Mr. Stevens approach you?
After I was already playing the game.
Mr. Mann, is Mr. Stevens in this courtroom?
Yes, he is.
Can you please identify him and explain his clothing to the court?
He's wearing a dark brown tuxedo or suit.
Your Honor, may you please let the record show that Mr. Mann has identified Mr. Stevens?
Yes, the record will show that.
What did Mr. Stevens do when he approached you?
He asked me to go play another game and tried to shove his way in between us.
And what was the tone of his voice at this time?
He sounded kind of mad.
How did you respond?
I asked him to please go Pac-Man game. It was empty. I saw it empty, and I still wanted to finish my Frogger game.
Did you have to move Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I did.
And why was that?
Because he tried to shove his way in between me trying to play the game.
And can you demonstrate for me what force you used to move Mr. Stevens
Yes,
out
I
of your
can.
way?
I asked him to go play another game.
Mr. Stevens was able to fall from that.
Yes.
Did you intend to hurt Mr. Stevens when you moved him?
No.
When Mr. Stevens was down, did you step towards him?
I kind of did, then my girlfriend stopped me from going towards him.
What was your initial reason for stepping towards him?
I was going to help him back up, so nothing further action happened.
And as you said, Miss Cook did step in the way.
Yes.
Did you verbally imply that you meant to hurt Mr. Stevens?
No, I did not.
After Mr. Stevens left, what did you and your date do?
We stopped playing the game because we didn't want nothing else to happen, and we started to leave.
Was the incident still on your mind as you were leaving?
Yes.
Mr. Mann, what is this object?
That is a wallet.
And what is this object?
That's a pocket knife.
Do these two objects look anything alike, Mr. Mann?
No.
Could these two objects possibly be mistaken for one another?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, can you tell me what this is?
It's a piece of wood.
Is this anything like the lethal weapon that Mr. Stevens struck you with?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, have you ever stabbed anyone with your wallet?
No, I have not.
Could you see Mr. Stevens standing near the door as you were leaving?
No, I could not.
And why is that?
Because I had my face buried in my wallet to see if I had enough money to buy my girlfriend some food.
Mr. Stevens, in any way did Mr. Mann, in any way did Mr. Stevens offer a warning of not to come near him before he hit you?
No, he did not.
In any way did you ask Mr. Stevens or give him permission to hit you?
No.
So therefore he did strike you without consent?
Yes, he did.
When you were leaving the game, where were you going?
Towards the back, towards the front door.
Okay, and in order to get towards the front door, you had to pass the drinking fountain in the window, correct?
Yes.
And what happened after you were hit?
I don't remember much. I remember waking up in the county hospital.
And what were your injuries?
I had a broken nose, and I was unconscious.
Are there any lasting injuries that you know of? Do you still feel any pain?
I get headaches sometimes, and my nose does hurt.
Your Honor, may I have a short recess with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Your Honor, I have no more further questions.
Okay, thank you. Defense, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor, may I have a
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, would you please instruct the witness to answer yes or no to my questions?
Would you please answer all questions, yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything personally against Mr. Stevens?
No.
Do you make a habit of becoming violent with random arcade patrons?
No.
You don't normally you don't normally act without thinking, do you?
No.
So then, did you think it out before you shoved Mr. Stevens onto the floor?
No.
But I thought you said you think before you act. Am I mistaken?
Yes.
Are you saying that you did not say that?
No.
Did Mr. Stevens give you permission to push him?
No.
Even as lightly as you did?
No.
Are you aware that any contact between two people without permission is a battery?
Yes.
Did you threaten Mr. Stevens after you pushed him?
No.
Do you remember what your exact words were?
No.
Well, did you in fact say, if I see you again, I'll beat you up?
No.
But you don't remember what you did say?
Yes.
And still, you are saying yes, you don't remember?
Yes.
And still, you expect us to believe that your words were not malicious in intent?
Yes.
Around 8:15, did you walk towards the door from the Frogger machine where Mr. Stevens and Ms. Morgan were at the fountain a few feet away and pull out your wallet?
Yes.
And the previous altercation had you angered, did it not?
No.
No. You weren't angry about being pushed out of the way for Frogger?
No.
May I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mann, you may step down. And move the mic out of your way. Okay, defense, we're now ready to hear your witnesses. Would you like to call your first witness?
And I would like to call Sydney Berg to the witness stand.
Sydney Berg, would you please approach the stand? Bailiff, would you swear this witness in?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, say I will.
I will.
Please be seated. State your full name, spell your last.
Sydney Berg, B-E-R-G.
Your Honor, may I first witness stand?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Mr. Berg.
Morning.
I know you're a little bit nervous, just as I am. If you just try to relax and speak clearly and loudly so jury and the judge may hear you. Can you tell the court your occupation?
I'm a manager at Big Wheel Motorcycle Shop.
Do you know Mr. Brad
Yes.
Stevens? How?
He's my employee,
What did he do at your, what did he start doing at your motorcycle shop?
stock clerk,
And what does he presently do?
sales clerk.
And in that, how long was he working as stock clerk until he was promoted?
Not long.
Do employees normally get promoted in a short amount of time at your shop?
No.
Then why did Mr. Stevens?
He's a good worker.
Okay. How is he with customers?
He's very polite and considerate.
Did Mr. Stevens ever cause any problems at your shop?
No.
Okay. May I have a moment to confirm with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Berg, do you have anything to gain by testifying for Mr. Stevens?
No.
And would it be easy to replace him as a employee?
Very.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
Sorry, bud. May I please approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Mr. Berg.
Good morning.
Your Honor, can you please instruct the witness to answer my questions, yes or no?
Would you please answer all questions, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Berg, you are the manager at the Big Wheel Motorcycle Shop,
Yes.
and Mr. Stevens works for you.
Yes.
Do you think, in your professional opinion, that Mr. Stevens is your best employee?
Yes.
Do you want to keep him as long as possible?
Yes.
And you know if Mr. Stevens is convicted, he will do some time.
Yes.
And you will do anything to help him from doing time?
No.
No. Maybe perjure yourself?
No.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Berg. Do you know Martin Mann, Connie Cook, or Tanya Morgan?
No.
So in actuality, you don't know a whole hell of a lot about this case, do you?
Objection, Your Honor.
This is irrelevant testimony. He is a character witness, nothing more.
I'm merely stating that he has no bearing on this case.
Okay, objection overruled. You can continue with your question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you and Mr. Stevens hang out outside of work?
No.
So you wouldn't know how Mr. Stevens would act outside of work, would you?
No.
May I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Defense, would you like to cross-examine this witness? Excuse me. You may step down, Mr. Berg.
Oh, hell of a lot, huh?
Oh, hell of a lot.
Okay, defense, would you like to call your next witness?
Your Honor, I would like to call Ms. Bardie to the witness stand.
Okay, Ms. Jacklyn Bardie, would you please approach the stand? Bailiff, would you please swear this witness in?
He's right here. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, say I will.
I will.
Please be seated. State your full name and spell your last.
Jacklyn Bardie, B-A-R-D-I-E.
Your Honor, may I first?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Ms. Bardie.
Good morning.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
And where do you attend?
South High School.
Do you know Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I do.
Is he present in the court today?
Yes, he is.
Can you identify him?
Right there in the brown suit.
Okay. Your Honor, let the record indicate that the witness has identified Mr. Brad Stevens.
The record will show that.
From your experience, what kind of person is Mr. Stevens?
He's a quiet type of person.
Miss Bardie, do you know what perjury is?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what the penalty for perjury is?
Yes, I do.
Would you ever commit it?
No, I wouldn't.
Where were you on the night of June 4th?
I was walking into the Melanie's video store with a friend.
Okay. Were you going, why did you go to the arcade that night?
To play a couple video games.
How long were you playing video games?
For about a half hour.
What did you do after that?
I went over to the counter to buy a drink.
Who did you see when you were at the counter?
I saw Tanya washing Brad's fist under the fountain.
Was that a little unusual to you?
Yes, it was.
What happened after Mr. Stevens stopped washing his hands?
He just stopped washing his hands.
Did he look up or notice anybody walking towards him?
Oh, he noticed Martin Mann walking towards him.
Okay. How were Mr. Mann and Miss Cook walking?
In a fast pace.
Okay. Is it safe to say, since the drinking fountain is by the door, that it looked like Mr. Mann was walking towards Mr. Stevens?
Yeah.
And did he have any expressions on his face?
Yeah, he looked kind of angry.
Okay, so Mr. Mann was walking fast towards Mr. Stevens, and he looked angry. Then what happened?
Then, after Mr. Mann got close enough, Mr. Stevens picked up a stick and hit him over the head with it.
At that point, did you fear for Mr. Stevens' safety when he was walking towards him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you recall what Mr. Mann was wearing that night?
Yes, he had on the jeans and he had a t-shirt.
And Mr. Stevens?
And he had on and jeans too, and he had on a OP t-shirt.
Okay, and so you do recall that night very accurately?
Yes, I do.
Okay. May I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may.
Next other question.
Okay, thank you. Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
May I please approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Ms. Bardie.
Good morning.
Your Honor, will you please instruct the witness to answer my questions, yes or no?
Would you please answer all questions, yes or no?
All right. Ms. Bardie, are you a student at Westdale High?
No, I'm not.
South High then, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. Is it true you were at Melanie's Arcade about 7:30 on the day of June 4th?
Yes, I was.
And you did see Mr. Stevens strike Mr. Mann with this 2x2, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't see him striking with this 2x2. Take a look at the stick. Maybe you might remember.
Did I see Mr. Stevens strike Mr. Mann?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes,
Oh.
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. Did you see Mr. Mann pull out a knife?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
All right. Can you say without a doubt that Mr. Mann had a wallet in his hand?
No, I can't.
So, Ms. Bardie, your testimony as to what Mr. Mann's intentions were cannot be trusted. You don't know what he was going to do,
Honor,
right?
Yes.
Your Honor, she has not testified to Mr. Mann's intentions.
She has said already that he was walking
Your Honor.
Okay,
very fast.
Okay, I need one counsel from each side to approach the bench.
She did no intention. She never testified.
You asked her, did she fear for Mr. Stevens' life? Then that means Mr. Mann had some intention while he was. Is that true? Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Then why did that's true? Then I can ask this
The
question.
question that you asked would reply more than a yes or no answer. So you need to ask it in a yes or no.
No, it's yes. It's not yes or no.
Well, okay. Go ahead and answer it. Yeah, that's okay. Continue with the question, and then if you guys have objections, then when he maybe you can rephrase the question a little more together.
Rephrase the question?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, counsel, would you please continue with your question?
I'll ask the question in a more easy manner for you to answer. So, Ms. Bardie.
I need order on the court. We need to hear the counsel and the witness testimony.
So, Ms. Bardie, your testimony as to what Mr. Mann was going to do as he was approaching the door cannot be trusted.
Yes, it can.
Can be trusted.
Yes, it can.
Okay, then. Ms. Bardie, would you say it was dimly lit inside the arcade?
Yes, I can.
Maybe too dark to read something in the distance, say on a shirt?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Too dimly lit to see to read something that was on somebody's shirt. Like say across the room, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Isn't the fact that in your written testimony you recalled what everybody was wearing that night?
Can I say something, or do I have to say yes or no?
Yeah, you have to.
Yes. That's a yes or no.
Yeah, answer just yes
Isn't
or no,
it?
please.
Yes.
Yes. Can you recall it now?
Yes.
Well, what was Tanya wearing?
Objection, Your Honor. He has instructed the witness to answer yes or no and is asking for a statement.
Sorry. Let me rephrase it. Was Tanya wearing a yellow skirt?
Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Yes, she was. This is what she says.
No, please approach.
Yeah.
Where's Tanya Morgan? You guys want to come up here?
I need one.
Chris.
She obviously just said that she couldn't read something that was across the room. Oh, all right, sorry.
Counsel, will you please rephrase your question and witness, you can answer it
Was Tanya
again?
wearing a yellow shirt?
No, he wasn't. Yes, he was.
Was Connie wearing purple pants and a tube top?
Yes, she was.
Brad Morgan, was he wearing jeans?
Yes, he was.
And an OP t-shirt?
Yes, he was.
Was Martin wearing jeans and an OP t-shirt?
No, he wasn't.
Was he wearing a shirt with his name on it?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Pretty good memory you got there. Miss Bardie, isn't it true that you and Mr. Stevens dated?
Yes, we did.
Is it also true that if he didn't stop calling, you would probably be going out with him this day?
Objection, Your Honor, that's irrelevant.
I'm merely stating whether her testimony can be trusted.
How did she ever?
Objection, counsel. Objection overruled. Continue with your question.
Is it true?
Will you please restate the question for the court?
Isn't it also true that to this day you want to be with Mr. Stevens?
No, it isn't.
It isn't?
No, it isn't.
So, if he would have kept, if he didn't stop, if he would have kept calling, you would have went out with him.
Yes, no, I wouldn't have.
No?
Oh, yes, yes, I would have. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that is the reason why you're testifying today?
Yes, it is.
I need order in the court so we can hear the witness.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Bardie, you may step down. I need order in the court. Defense? Would you like to call your next? I need order in the court, please. Defense, would you like to call your next witness?
I'd like to call Tanya Morgan.
Tanya Morgan, would you please approach the stand? Bailiff, would you please swear this witness in? I need order in the court so we can hear the testimonies that are to be given.
Tanya Morgan, M.R.D.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness stand?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Ms. Morgan. I can understand if you're a little bit nervous, but just remember to speak clearly and loud so that everyone can hear you. Where do you attend high school? South High School. And do you know Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you known him? How long have you known Mr. Stevens?
He goes to my school and we went out.
Okay. Would you lie to protect him this morning?
No, I wouldn't.
Berg, do you remember where you were on the night of June 4th, 1994?
Melanie's okay.
Who were you with?
Brad Stevens.
What did the two of you do?
Okay, excuse me, Mr. could you please bring the mic closer to the witness so we can hear this morning? Just bring it. No. Thank you. You may continue.
What did the two of you do?
Played Frogger.
What happened after he was finished playing?
We ran out of quarters, and so we had to go to the machine to get some more.
Was anybody else at the Frogger machine when you came back?
Yes.
Who?
Martin, Mann, and Connie Cook.
What were they doing?
They were playing soccer.
Did Brad say anything to him?
Yes, he said that for them to go play another game because we were there.
What happened next?
Martin said no to go play something else, and then Martin said no.
And did Martin Mann make any movements toward Brad Stevens?
Yes, he pushed him.
Did he look hurt?
Yes, he looked real hurt.
Did Mr. Mann say anything to Mr. Stevens after this?
Yes, he said if I see you again, I'll beat you up.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Did you and Mr. Stevens leave after this incident?
No, I went to the water fountain to wash his hand off.
And while you were washing his hand this morning, did you notice anyone walking toward you?
Yes, Martin Mann.
Did he have any sort of expressions on his face?
He looked mad. He had something in his hand.
Could you tell what was in his hand?
No, I couldn't tell.
Did Mr. Stevens react to Mr. Mann's approach?
Can you repeat the question?
Did Mr. Stevens react in any way towards the approaching of Mr. Mark Mann?
Yeah. He looked scared, so he grabbed the wood off the window.
Did it appear to be in self-defense?
Yes.
And how did Mr. Stevens react after he hit him?
He looked scared, so he ran out of the cage.
May I have a moment to close my mouth?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Morgan, when you saw Mr. Mann approaching Mr. Stevens and you, how did you feel about that?
I felt scared. I thought he was going to beat him up because I just pushed him down, so I was scared.
So did you fear for Mr. Stevens' safety?
Yes, I did, and my own.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, may I please approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Good morning, Ms. Morgan.
Good morning.
Your Honor, will you please instruct the witness to answer my questions, yes or no?
Would you please answer all questions, yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Morgan, you accompanied Mr. Stevens to Melanie's Arcade on June the 4th?
Yes.
And on that day, Mr. Stevens scored his high score on the Frogger game. Did Mr. Stevens run out of quarters?
Yes.
And when you returned from getting quarters, was it occupied? The game, I mean?
Yes.
Yes, it was occupied. Did Mr. Stevens try to force the occupant from the game, the occupant being Mr. Mann?
He didn't try to force him. He asked him.
So he didn't try to shoulder his way between Mr. Mann and the game?
Not that I recall.
Your Honor, she's supposed to answer the questions yes or no if she was instructed.
Okay, would you please continue to answer all the questions, just yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he did not try to shoulder his way in between the game?
Not that I recall, no.
Your Honor, can you please instruct the witness to stick to the fact sheet?
Okay, witness, we need to, you took an oath, so I need you to just stick to the facts here.
So Mr. Stevens didn't try to force his way between Mr. Mann and the video game?
Counsel, you've asked that question 3 times.
Well, she's not answering it.
She's answered yes every
No,
time.
she's answering
No. She's answered no. Well, you've asked it 3 times, though.
She's not sticking to the fact sheet.
Okay, I just.
Hey.
I know that she's said no.
What? Yeah.
Well, that was co-counsel.
Because she's answered no, the first time, no, I don't recall, and then they said, please answer just yes or no. And he asked it again, and then she said, I don't recall again, and then she just you ask the question one more time, and then you What do you mean?
One fact sheet. Dr. Short.
Okay, you can continue, Counselor.
So in your opinion, Mrs. Morgan, if you can't remember some of these details, your testimony can't be trusted, can it?
Yes, it can be trusted.
Isn't the fact that the reason Mr. Mann pushed Mr. Stevens ever so softly was because Mr. Mann's quarter was already in the machine?
Repeat the question, please.
Isn't the reason that Mr. Mann pushed Mr. Stevens is because Mr. Mann's quarter was already in the machine?
No.
So Mr. Mann's quarter wasn't in the machine. He wasn't already in the process of
Yes.
playing the game. Oh, okay. All right then. And when Mr. Mann approached Mr. Stevens, didn't he say to beat it and to leave him alone?
I don't recall what he said.
You don't recall what he said. Okay. Ms. Morgan, did you see Mr. Stevens hit Mr. Mann with the 2x2?
Yes.
You did. Did Mr. Mann ask to be hit in the face?
No.
No. Okay. Do you think Mr. Mann could have died as a result of the blow given by Mr. Stevens?
No.
But he was unconscious
Yes.
and bleeding profusely through the nose?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't think he could have died, no?
No.
No. Not if you just hit him a little bit harder?
No.
Okay. Would you say when Mr. Mann was trying to leave the arcade, he had his head down? Like,
Yes.
okay. The way a person's head is when they are looking through their wallet?
Excuse me?
No, the way a person's head is when they're looking through a wallet.
Can you,
wallet.
can you repeat the last question that you said before that?
Before
Before this one?
before this one. All right, would you say when Mr. Mann was trying to leave the arcade, his head was down?
No. No. I changed my answer.
Your Honor, she's already answered my question, yes, and then now no.
Then the question that you're asking
I didn't
about...
hear it. Right.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me repeat it one more time so you get it straight. Would you say when Mr. Mann was trying to leave the arcade, his head was down?
No.
No. Okay. The way a person's head is when they're trying to look through their wallet looking for money, you say? What'd you say?
Repeat the
Sorry.
question.
I'm just going to skip the question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Do you think a person... Oh, well, I can't ask that because his head wasn't down at all. So, Ms. Morgan, isn't it true you care for Mr. Stevens?
As a friend?
Oh, as a
Yes.
But you guys were on a date, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Our first one.
Your first date.
Your Honor, she needs to ask questions, yes or no.
Okay, would you please continue to answer the questions yes or no? And counsel, don't ask questions that would imply more than a yes or no answer.
I asked Ms. Morgan, isn't it true you care for Mr. Stevens? That's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Just from now on.
And and will you do anything to keep him from doing time?
No, I would not.
Not even perjure yourself?
No, I would not.
You don't like him that good, huh?
Not really.
All right, let me ask you this. Let me see. How can I ask you this question? The reason you did not run with Mr. Stevens is because you knew he was wrong, right?
No.
No. So you don't think he was wrong for hitting Mr. Mann in the face?
No.
No. I have a minute to consult with my co-counsel.
Yes, you may. After this one? I thought you said it before.
I just have one more question. Isn't it true, Miss Morgan, that when I asked you if you knew what Mr. Mann said when Mr. Stevens was on the ground, you said no?
Repeat the question again.
When I asked you when I asked you if you knew what Mr. Mann said when Mr. Stevens was on the floor, you said you couldn't remember, right? Is that true?
That's not the exact question you asked me.
Well, I'm asking you now. Can you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
You do remember now?
What? Repeat the question.
Objection, Your Honor. She stated what he had said.
Here's harassing the witness.
I'm not I've asked.
Okay,
She already
okay,
stated that.
excuse
There is a
me.
discrepancy.
Objections overruled. Continue with your question, counsel.
Can you remember what Mr. Mann said to Mr. Stevens as he was laying on the ground?
He didn't say anything to him.
He didn't say anything to him. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Morgan, you may step down. Okay, right now we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we will be back here in 5 minutes. And let me remind you, jury members, to not talk to anyone else.
Stay in the area, no one leaves the area. Want to get a drink, be back in here in 5 minutes.
Jesus.
Finish up this witness, the last witness.
Right.
And then when we finish up the last witness, we're going to adjourn the class for the day. And then we'll have the final closing arguments tomorrow.
Okay, and continuing this case, defense, would you like to call your next witness?
Your Honor, I would like to call Brad Stevens to the witness stand.
Okay, Brad Stevens, would you please approach the stand? Bailiff, would you please swear this witness in?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir? I will. Please be seated. State your full name, spell your last.
Objection, Your Honor. Will you tell counsel to keep his
Brad
mouth shut?
Stevens, Stevens.
Okay, counsel, I need not to have you guys confer in front of the jury members, please.
Your Honor, may I first witness stand?
Yes, you may.
Morning, Mr. Stevens.
Good morning. How are you?
If you speak loudly and clearly so the court may hear you.
Yes, I will.
Do you know what perjury is, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand that it's a crime?
Yes.
Would you ever commit perjury?
Never.
Okay, very good. Where do you attend school?
I attend at South High.
Do you remember where you were at 8 p.m. on June 4th, 1994?
Yes, I do.
Where
I was at Melanie's.
And who were you with, Mr. Stevens?
I was with my date,
And what's her name?
Tanya Morgan.
How long have you known Miss Morgan?
For a couple of months.
Was this your first date?
Order in the court.
Did you and Miss Morgan play video games?
Yes, I played Frog. I racked up 60,000 points on it with the machine.
Isn't it true that you ran out of quarters?
Yeah. Ran out of quarters.
So what'd you do?
Went to the change machine.
Was anyone at the Frogger machine when you returned?
Yes.
Who?
Martin Mann.
Is Mr. Mann in this courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Can you please point him out and describe what he's wearing?
He's wearing a black hood with a turquoise shirt and some black jeans.
Your Honor, let the record indicate that Mr. Stevens has accurately identified Mr. Mann.
The record will show that.
Did Mr. Mann know that you had been playing the game?
I assisted, I told him that I played Frogger and I racked up 60,000 points on it. And, I asked him, nicely, can you go play Batman?
And what did he say to you after you explained the situation?
He said, go play Donkey Kong, jackass.
Order in the court.
Did you leave the arcade after that?
No, I didn't. I was very like shocked that I just asked him, I want to play the game,
Order in the court, please. We need to hear this witness
I want to play
testify.
the game, and he just go play Donkey Kong Jackass. I'm like, what? And then,
So what happened next?
so then, I was like, dang, why would he want to ever call me a jackass over Frogger? And he pushed me. Well, I kind of like leaned on him, He pushed me. I fell. He pushed me real hard. And I fell, and I sprung my right hand, and it was hurting. Right hand. And it was bleeding too. And then, if it wasn't for his date, there was no way I could ever fought him off. He's so big. And
So he did look like he was going to
kill
hurt you
me?
more?
Yes.
Order in the
Yes.
court.
Yes.
So what did you do after he pushed you and you noticed you were hurt?
What did I do? I looked up and I was just shocked. He said, if I see you again, I'm gonna beat you up. And I was right there. I was like, whoa, over a Frogger game? So I just, I went and washed my hand off. Me and my date, she helped me wash my hand off.
While you were washing your hand off, did you notice anything unusual?
Why, yes, I did. Ever had like that feeling somebody been watching you or something? I looked back and there he was. This guy.
Order.
He was on me. He was like he had a mad look on his face. And I was thinking, this is the next time. He really wants to beat me up. This is the game. So I was like, dog, man. Over Frogger game? Why? Came at me, and he appeared to seem like he was grabbing for it like a knife.
Could you tell that it was just a wallet in his pocket or what it was?
No, he was on me. I could not tell. I just knew he was grabbing for something which appeared to be a knife.
And so what did you do?
I feared for me and my date, and I looked and I saw a piece of wood on the window. With my left hand, I grabbed it.
So since your right hand was injured, you had to use your left hand.
Yes, I had to use my left hand.
And what did you do with the piece of wood?
I swung it. Not meaning to aim, but I swung it.
So you did not aim at Mr.
No, I did not.
Okay. And after you hit him, what did you do?
I ran. I didn't know if I hit him. I don't know if I did anything. All I know is that I don't know nothing. All I did was ran, and I was wondering. I don't even know if he fell, and that's why I ran.
So you did not know that he fell, so you were fearful that possibly he could get up again?
Yes. Yes. I don't even know if he fell. He was on me. I don't know. I just ran.
Okay. When did you finally stop running?
After I looked back and it was Melanie's arcade manager. I thought it was him though, because I felt a grab on my hand. I looked back and I was like, oh, thank God it's Melanie's manager arcade.
So while you were running, you thought that Mr. Mann had gone and chased you?
Yes.
Were you still fearful for your life?
Yes, me and my dates. That guy's a big guy there, He's really big. He can do some damage.
Did you go back to the arcade voluntarily?
Yes, I did. I went back because if it was Melanie's arcade manager, something must have gone wrong. So I wanted to see what happened, what I've done wrong.
When Mr. Cervantes stopped you, did you make a statement to him?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I said I just had to, which means I just had to because there was no other way to get out that situation. He was on me like a wild boar.
Order in the court, please.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to talk to my counsel?
Yes, you may.
How did you feel? Did you feel like you had a fighting chance against this man?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So you felt like you were helpless against him?
Helpless. Helpless. Fearing for me and my date's life.
Okay, we have no questions.
Thank you. Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine this
Yes.
witness?
May I please approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
How are you? Good morning. Would you please instruct the witness to answer yes or no to my question?
Yes, would you please answer yes or no to all questions?
Yes, I will.
Mr. Stevens, were you at Melanie's Arcade June 4th about 8 p.m.?
Yes.
And weren't you on your first date with Mrs. Morgan that night? Also on that night, you scored a personal high of 60,000 points to beat the previous machine record.
Yeah.
Did you run out of quarters?
Yes.
And when you returned from getting quarters, the game was occupied, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was occupied. So you're saying Mr. Mann was in the process of playing the game?
Yes, he was.
Stuck the quarter in, just playing the game.
Playing the game.
When you say, Mr. Stevens, a person has the right to finish a game once their money is in?
Well, yeah. Yes.
But still, you insisted to play the game.
Yes, I insisted he could go play another game because I thought he would understand.
That's yes or no.
Points
Yes or no.
From now on, just answer yes or no to all.
Well, after saying that, don't you think you were wrong for trying to push your way back to the game through Mr. Mann?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for opinion.
Objection overruled. Continue with your question.
Well, after saying that, don't you think you were wrong trying to push your way back to the game through Mr. Mann?
I wouldn't call it a push.
But you did try to wedge your way in between him and the game?
Just yes.
Yes
Yes,
or no?
yes or no?
Yes,
That's
yes.
all we need
Yes.
here.
Yes.
All right. Wouldn't you agree the whole altercation could have been avoided if you would have just let him finish with his quarter?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Isn't it also a fact that after Mr. Mann pushed you and had to be restrained by Mrs. Morgan and Ms. Cook, your ego took a shot?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ego took a shot.
Okay, objection overruled. Continue with your question, counsel.
Isn't it also a fact that after Mr. Mann pushed you and had to be restrained by Mrs. Morgan and Mrs. Cook, your ego took a shot?
No, I have no ego.
You have no ego. Okay. And when you saw Mr. Mann coming towards you with his head down, you saw this as a chance to get some payback, didn't you?
Head down.
He was walking like this.
No,
Wallet up.
he was on me.
He was on you. All right. Would you say this is how far it is from the video game to the door? Yeah?
I don't know.
I mean, just an estimation, yeah.
This is not the arcade. I can't.
I mean, yes or no? Is this,
You're asking for me to give you opinion.
is this about how far it is? 13, yes or no?
Objection. This is opinion.
I'm talking.
Okay, can I get one lawyer from each side?
Okay, what's happening? This is pretty important information here, so we're going to let the
Can I
lawyers
get
go
one
up and
lawyer
ask
from
this.
this
Now,
side?
Judge, you really got to consider this one because it's pretty important.
God, this closing's gonna be hard.
Jury, will you please, I need order in the court, please. Jury, disregard the question that counsel gave, and counsel, will you please?
Okay, I'll reword it. All right, I'm going to pace off 13 feet for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go outside, okay? This is 13 feet. Was this as far as he was away from you?
Yes, he was, but he was on me.
So, at 13 feet, you could not run.
Run? And leave my date?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
I could have run.
You could have run.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
you need to answer just yes or no.
Yes, yes.
So, after you hit Mr. Mann and saw him fall and drop the board, you ran because you were in the wrong and you knew you did not want to get your girlfriend in this whole little scandal.
Objection, Your Honor. Just harassing the witness. We've already stated that he was
Okay, objection.
fearful of his life.
I'm just trying to.
Will you repeat the question?
Please approach. Guys, approach the bench.
Yeah, you can, I need one. And it's like I'll sustain that question. Jury, disregard the question, and you may continue, counsel.
Can I have a moment to confer with my co-counsel?
Yes, you may. Okay, we need to continue.
All right, Mr. Mann, you stated that at 13 feet, you could have ran, but you didn't want to leave your date. This is true.
You are right. Yes.
But you say, well, the facts will show that after you hit Mr. Mann, you did run and leave your date.
Yes, I did leave because I was shocked.
All right. Okay. Mr. Stevens, when you struck Mr. Mann with this 2x2, you want to hold that for me?
You don't mind, do you?
No. It's not the arcade. You don't need to hit me. When you struck Mr. Mann with this 2x2.
Does the objection honor hear that statement was harassing the witness?
Objection.
Do you feel harassed, Mr.?
Overruled.
I kind of did.
Objection sustained.
Sorry.
Disregard that question, jury, and you can continue with another
Mr.
question.
Mr. Stevens, when you struck Mr. Mann with this 2x2, the sound of the wood crushing the cartilage of Mr. Mann's nose, did it give you any satisfaction?
No.
No? Wouldn't you agree the force of the blow that broke Mr. Mann's nose was violent?
I didn't aim. Yes.
Do you think that Mr. Mann wanted to have his nose broke?
No one wants their nose broke, no.
No. Okay. Isn't it a fact that if you were to hit Mr. Mann any harder with this 2x2, he could have died?
I don't know, I'm a doctor.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for expert testimony.
Okay.
Sustained. Jury, disregard that question. Counsel, continue with a different question.
Would you say that you inflicted great bodily harm?
Objection, Your Honor. This still calls for expert testimony.
Overruled. Continue with your question, counsel.
Would you say that inflicted great bodily harm?
I don't know, I just swung and ran.
All right, let me rephrase the question. Did you break Mr. Mann's nose?
Yes.
Okay. Let me read you what assault with a deadly weapon is. Use of force of violent use of force or violence upon the person of another without consent, committed with an object used in such a manner as to be capable of producing and likely to produce death or great bodily harm. Mr. Mann, you yourself have said that you used force on Mr. Mann, and he didn't ask for it. And you broke his nose, great bodily harm, and assault with a deadly weapon. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You may step down, Mr. Stevens. We're going to adjourn the court today at this moment. We will meet back tomorrow at the same time. And I would like to remind the jury members to that you're not to talk to any order in the court, please. We're not adjourned yet. We're not to talk to any lawyers or witnesses or subject yourself to any outside information such as news, radio, or television. We will continue tomorrow at the same time. Court is adjourned.
Good job, you guys.
My class, please, return to the class.
Well,